see people are still coming in. Okay, so good morning, everybody. My name is Ajit Matthew, and I am a Human Resources Manager with Royal Caribbean International. It's one of the biggest cruise line companies in the world. Uh, it also has got the best human resources team. Not because I'm a human resources manager there, but they do take care of their people really well, and that's why it is considered to be one of the most looked after brand for people to join and start a career or continue a career in the cruise line industry. Uh, that being said, let me take this opportunity to give you a quick brief about what and how I reached where I am. So, like I said, I'm working for Royal Caribbean. But before that, I started my career with the Oberoi Group back in 2001. And after that, I joined there as an F&B assistant. Uh, then I moved into ships, working as a bartender for a while. Then I quit. I came back to hotels again, worked with the Taj as restaurant manager. And it's that time I decided, you know what, I need to make a career in training and development. So I stopped. I went into doing my MBA. I graduated, post graduated in MBA and specialized in HR. I moved into the cruise industry in 2010. I worked with Norwegian Cruise Lines to start with. I worked with them as a training manager for 3 years. And after which I moved into Celebrity Cruise Lines, worked for them as a training manager, and then got promoted and moved to Royal Caribbean as an HR manager. So that's a short brief about my career. And totally, if you look at 2010 included, I've 10 years working on cruise ships, and the other 10 years I've been working with hotels on land. So that's a brief talk about my history. So I hope the reason why I'm doing this program as webinar for colleges of IHM is because I believe that when I passed out of college, nobody spoke to me about the cruise industry at all, and it took me a long time to understand what cruise industry is and then apply for it. So I thought, why don't I use this time while I'm sitting home and doing my lockdown duty to reach out and speak to all of you guys who are interested in a career at sea. So this would give me an opportunity to give feedback about it, let you guys know about what the programs are that can lead you to a career in the cruise industry, right? So this is not a recruitment pitch. I'm not trying to hire people into ships, but this is only for general awareness about the industry and how you can build a career or plan your career to reach the cruise industry as such. Okay, so with that being said, let me jump right into the presentation that I have made for you guys. That would help me guide this conversation through. I am at home, so in case there are some sounds around, that is from my house, so please bear with me. So let's go into it. Okay, the sea is calling you, and this is the topic that I put for myself, and also part of my YouTube channel, which calls as the sea is calling you. So what I'm going to do is I will quickly look through some points here, explore beyond horizons. I'll just talk about the cruise industry. I will give you a brief about where is the money in the cruise industry and why choose a career at sea. But as part of every good thing, there is also some tough parts in working at sea, and that is what we will talk about, building your sea legs. And then finally, very specific to India, there are some criteria that is needed for growing your career at sea. So let's look at how to prepare your paperwork during that period of time. Okay, so that being said, let's jump right into our webinar. Like usual, I'd like to highlight the fact that I would really appreciate if you guys can put your mic on silent right now. Uh, and also, if you have any questions, I did see a few questions which was put across to me previously, but I would really like you guys to look at the opportunity of putting your mic on mute right now. And then, as long as you have questions, please put that in the chat box. You can send it to me privately, or you can send it to me in the group, and I will look at those questions to through this presentation, and in the end, we will have a quick review of what is in the chat box for question and answer sessions, right? So that being said, you know, I'm gonna be admitting a few more people, a few people joining in right now. So let me add them in. Okay. All right. So let me start with talking about cruise industry as and the cruising culture as such. Uh, it is not very famous, the cruising culture in India. Let me ask you, any one of you, first thing that might come in your mind if I ask you to go on a vacation would be probably Paris, or you might think of Singapore or Russia, but a cruise line as such doesn't come in mind of people because it's not a very common culture in India. So this topic, when it comes to cruising culture, it's more for a European and US culture. The US really enjoy, the people there enjoy going on cruise lines, and that's why it's become such a big industry there. At the same time, we look at if you go down to Asia, in Singapore, there are a few ships which are plying out of there, and in Australia as well. So the industry is not so much big in India at all. One as a cruise vacation concept, and the other, uh, even for careers, there is no opportunity to do industrial training in these colleges as such. So in the ships as such. So when people go on cruise career, uh, they don't know much about cruise lines. Okay, so this is why this education is very important, and the awareness talk is very critical for people to know what it takes to be a cruise line. So let's look at 1844. That was the first year ever that cruise line was built, and that was by P&O Cruise Lines. Those are still right now as a company there. They started with ocean liners, and the concept was for people to move from Europe to the US. These ocean liners were used. Uh, a major reason that time was a mode of transportation. But come in 1940s and 50s, once the airline industry started working out and passenger airlines started working, that the cruise lines lost its charm of traveling across an continent. Industry that it became as known to be for the reason of vacations that people can go into. So that's how the cruise industry came into being. And some of the oldest cruise line companies that are known is definitely the Royal Caribbean International. There's also the brand called Carnival Cruise Lines and Norwegian Cruise Lines. There's Disney, there's Virgin, which has just come into a lot of companies. And in their umbrella, there are smaller companies which are there. So I just named a few, but it's a good opportunity that they offer, right? So, and last but not the least, I'd like to also highlight the kind of vacation cruises that they offer. One is world cruises, the ships which travel across the world. They take up at least 3 to 4 to 6 months to travel across the world. People get into it and spend that much time on ships. But not a lot of people have that opportunity to spend 3 or 4 months just cruising. So it's not one of the most favorite ones. But then the long cruises are generally it's between 14 to 30-day cruises, which does transatlantic, trans-Pacific cruises, which are there. But the most famous are the short cruises, the ones which go for 7 days and 3 days. So a lot of families can go on that vacation, and so that's how the market is right now built. They offer 3 to 7 day cruises on big ships, which already have a lot of facilities in it. People enjoy them, and then they do a 7 family. That is something they can, adjust not being at home or taking a leave for 7 days and coming and cruising. And so that's the difference where the short cruises have taken over the business as such. Uh, let's look at where is the money in all this, right? So for you and me, the money is in the new ships which are coming in. There are so many ships which are built every year. 2019, we had 6 mega ships coming into play, and then more than that was small ships. But mega ships means that you can have up to around 1,000 people to 2,000 employees per ship, and that means 6 ships is 12,000 employees that they need, and that is a huge amount of opportunity for people, and that's where you have so much of career prospect. 2020 with this COVID, the whole issue which happened right now with this coronavirus challenge. Yes, the industry has slowed down. There's a lot of speculations which are going on right now, but it's a matter of time that it will bounce back. The ships will be built again. We have already booked ships till 2023, so the opportunity is going. The hotel industry will come back, become stronger, uh, with a lot more of opportunities because of the fact that it needs a lot more of changing, new outlook of how the business will run. So yes, right now probably it is not on the top, but what would happen is the fact that in the couple of months which is coming in, I'm sure it will change completely and look better. So there's new ships that we had. For example, we were planning to get one out in 2020 in April, and now it's been postponed to September. So that's going to happen. Things will still work, and things are still going to come back. So I hope that the opportunities are going to be equally strong as before. So when you apply for jobs, you cruise line jobs. There's also river cruises. Now, the difference between regular cruises and river cruises are these are very specific to small areas like in Europe and in Egypt, and even in the US, they have river cruises, but not a lot of opportunity there. But it is an avenue for you to apply for as well. And then you have the luxury yachts, which offer more opportunities. Okay, so a wide variety of opportunities for you guys to apply for. So let's also look at the fact that all of you are here right now to know more about this, right? Various positions and roles required at sea. So the first and the most important is to talk about positions that are available at sea. I have a video which is put on YouTube, which it describes in detail what each division is and how it is broken down into, etc. And it took me around 35 to 40 minutes to complete that itself. So I'm not going to go in that much detail, but let me give you an example. Okay. So there are two major divisions. The hotel part of it is important, but also important is the marine side of it, which is the navigation, the engine, and all that will be part of one side of that recruitment, which hotel management institutes do not involve at all. That's purely on people who pass nautical engineering and what we call as general marine engineering. Apart from that, look at the hotel side. So the hotel side runs just like any other hotel. There's a lot of opportunities there from F&B, which is the main operations. The other one is you also have um, what we call accommodations as main operations again. Then you have revenue departments. You have smaller uh, opportunities in sense of support departments like HR, IT, finance, and all those departments as well. So you look at it, a ship is basically a city which is once it leaves the port, you're on your own. So we need everything which a city will have. So we have opportunities for plumbers to medical teams to electricians. You name any position. The ship that I just came from is Symphony of the Seas. It has 2,300 people working on it, and all skilled opportunities there. Okay, so this is very important that you understand that the opportunities that you can look at is a lot of them. I have seen a lot of questions about galley and what you call as kitchen. Sorry, I keep saying the word galley because galley is what they call it. So there's a lot of opportunity in kitchen and housekeeping in F&B service as well as in the bar. So the opportunities are immense, but what they look generally for is your specialization. Okay, they will look at what exactly did you gain your specialization into, and that's what you can choose your path to get into this career. Um, one of the most common questions again is there a difference in gender? Not at all. It doesn't matter what is your gender, female or male. The opportunities are equal for everybody, and especially when it comes to front of the house, like F&B service, in the bar, in the restaurants, in the guest services, or in the housekeeping. There are so many managers who are female, and so there's a lot of opportunity there for both male and female opportunity for everybody, right? So the industry does not discriminate between male and female. But yes, if you look at the marine side, not many people work in the deck and engine side from the females as such. On my ship, which I just came out from, it's the world's biggest ship, and it's got the world's maximum number of people who can be employed on a ship. The female to male ratio is around 31 to 32%, because the marine side, generally, when it goes to under the engine and all those areas, not women are not preferred to go there because they don't like to work there. Probably, I don't know, but we do not have much women working there. But you go to the hotel side, a lot of opportunities there for a lot of people there. Okay, so immense opportunities for each of you to try and log in and look at what is the best thing for you to work on. I'll give you a few tips when I come down through this presentation. All major cruise lines recruit from India, Philippines, Indonesia, Brazil, Russia. You know, the number of nationalities that we have is a lot. Okay, it is not just a few, but a lot of people that come from different parts of the world. Cultural diversity is huge. There's a lot of people from different parts of the world which work together, right? Uh, and you know, one way you look at it, also the competition that you see over here is not just within your colleague who's with you right now, or just the colleague who you work with tomorrow. The competition is global. You know, when you apply for a job, uh, that many people are the ones who are applying with you as well. So generally, when I talk about this, I always compare. We have a website for Royal Caribbean, and then the number of people who apply into that is close to around 10 to 11 people every hour of the day and night. Then it's 24 hours. So the amount of applications we get is more than 200 to 300 applications every single day for different positions. So this is where I really want to remind you guys. It's about building your specialization into whichever role that you are choosing into to get into, build a good specialization into that. Being a final year or second last year of your working environment, please ensure that you give it your best shot and learn the best that you can do about what is your specialization, because that makes a lot of difference for you. All right, so that's where the money is. We will talk about life on board. Okay, so uh, life on board is a different experience. Okay, it's not like how you work on land. Uh, a lot of people ask me why, and that's what I'm going to explain to you right now. It's got a little difference when it comes to cultural diversity with international crew. It's you see a little picture I have put up there. It's how a cabin inside a ship looks like. You know, this one really is for two people. There are some ships which four people live in a cabin, right? I know, you know, probably you might have lived in hostels, so you are used to it. But the difference with working on cruise ships is the fact that your roommate may not be from India at all. You know, it might be from a different part of the world completely. And then to adjust with that cultural difference sometimes becomes a little challenging. Sometimes. I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes. Because you come from a different culture completely, and then you have to adapt and, you know, get used to another culture which has got a very different way of looking at things than you have. So this is where cultural diversity is very important. The openness, the understanding, the willingness to adjust and get along with life at sea. That's a key part of success of working on ships. Um, Work and live in the same place. Uh, you know, the good part about working on land is that once you finish your job, you go home. It's got nothing to do with, you don't see the people who you work with. It's a completely different place. You go back, you go anywhere you want, but then there's very rarely you find people that you work with where you are living with. So that's the difference. But when you work on a ship, unfortunately, that doesn't work. So you need to work and live, and you see the same people all over again. So it's not any different. The work and living spaces are the same. We share the same crew mess. We say the crew gym is the same. There is opportunities of crew theater, the crew bar. The end of the day, it's the same people that you keep meeting again and again. It's a small knit family. It's a very interesting way of life. A lot of people enjoy it, but a lot of people who don't. So that's a little different as well. It's one of the challenges of working on ships, because after a couple of months, you are like, man, this is it. I've the same people. I'm fed up of seeing these people. So it gets a little as such. So it's a cruise life again. Seasickness. This is something which generally people ask me as well. What is seasickness? It's basically is the movement of the ship. But with the latest technology, with the latest ships which are there, it's got this huge amount of stabilizers which are there, and you don't even know that the ship is moving. But yes, when the weather is bad, the ship will move. My first year on ships, I did have a tough time getting used to the seasickness, but it gets used to it. And now if you ask me, so many times guests say, "Oh my God, the ship is moving," and I don't even know that it's happening. So you get used to it. It's until unless you have a really bad medical issue like vertigo or something like that, then seasickness can be a problem. But if not, people get used to it after a couple of months. You get over that feeling of balance which you need. That's okay. Another thing also that people ask me is also about swimming. Do I have to learn swimming if I don't know swimming? No, you don't have to. Neither have I. I don't know swimming either, but I've been working for the last 10 years, so it's okay. So just ensure that you get a life jacket, and life is good. So it's much more easier for you. Don't worry about that. Don't stop yourself from that as a career progression into ships as such. Um, Now, this is another aspect which I generally talk about, and is very has to be understood very clearly as well. Working on ships is different because of the fact that you have a monitored work hours every day, but you do not get a day off. Okay, so you get a day off after you finish your contract. So people get a contract for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, or even 8 months. Okay, so when a person gets a contract of 8 months or 6 months, the 6 month period you need to be working. Okay, it doesn't matter how long your contract is. Every single day is a work day. Okay, but then every day you get only 10 hours of work. It is a mandate by maritime labor that nobody can perform a job for more than uh, 14 hours in a day. So a maximum of 14 hours, but everybody needs to get rest. So there is a monitored way that every single employee work hours are checked. So you get a lot of free time. You work for 10 hours or 11 hours, and then you get a lot of free time to enjoy yourself. So like I said, if you are working on land, you're used to this concept of PL and casual leave and all that. That doesn't work. You do a contract, and then you have 2 months of vacation, which has got nothing to do with the ships at all. Then you come back for your next contract, right? So that's what the difference is coming into. So the work hours and the life on board is continuous for that period of 6 months or 4 months, whichever period of time that you're in. And after that, you get your vacation. So that's something that you need to get used to. Not very commonly seen in our industry, if hotel industry otherwise. Um, Talking about opportunity to see the world, shore leave at every port of call and meeting new cultures. Now that's the good part about working on ships. I have been in the industry for the 10 years that I have been. I think there's only two continents, that the Arctic and the Antarctica, that I've not been to, but I've been to every other continent in the world, traveled to every part possible. There is more to explore, but I enjoy that. That's part of my adventure in life. That's something I'm passionate about. So this just does it all. It gives me the opportunity to work, and at the same time, it also gives me an opportunity to see the world. So that's something that you get. Everybody gets an opportunity to go out, see the place, and come back. And that helps you meet new cultures, the new places that you can enjoy. So if you enjoy doing that, you don't mind traveling a lot, then opportunity. Um, okay. And like I said before, the talent that you meet are from people from across the world. Okay, so and they generally are the really best of what they do, and they come on board and they offer to get the best performance that they can do. So you will meet the best talent, and that will build you really strongly towards your career as such when it talks to the hotel industry as such. Okay, so this is very important. Um, how, when, and where to apply. Okay, so another very famous question that I get always is how to apply, and that's why I created another video which very detailed gives you an explanation about how to apply. So let me give you a brief over here. There are two ways to apply. One is directly with the organization, and the other is through local hiring agents. So these are the two opportunities that you have because of the fact that the shipping companies, they are based out of US or out of Europe. They cannot go and put in HR centers or recruitment centers by their company itself in different parts of the world. They coordinate with local hiring partners. So we have both these opportunities for you to apply. So one is direct applications. You go to their websites and you can apply directly with the company. But the only challenge there is there's a lot of competition. The number of people who apply there are very high. So to get noticed, that can get a little um, challenging there. The other one is through your local hiring agent, which in India, you can generally find them in Mumbai. Mumbai is the biggest hub for all these cruise line companies, local hiring agents. In Chennai and in Goa, there are a few also available for you to apply directly. Now, that is either you can go to their office or you can go online, all these websites again. Now, again, like I told you, you go to my channel on YouTube, I speak about it in detail so you know how to apply for both the jobs uh, in cruise line directly or with your opportunity with local hiring partners. Um, uh, Thank you, Manish. That's exactly what I was talking about. Those two are the videos that I have highlighted. So those to apply. All right. So let's look at something which is definitely advantageous for you because you're from hotel management, IHN, is the fact that a hospitality graduation and a background always helps, right? So if you are a hospitality graduate, it always helps you grow faster in the industry because you understand what it takes to be in a hotel. So a cruise ship, like I said, is a floating hotel. So all these, give you an opportunity to grow yourself into different higher positions or even lateral moves. I've seen so many people come into their position of probably an assistant waiter, and then they get promoted into guest services, or they get promoted into sales, into IT, into HR. There's a lot of different positions that they move into. So the hospitality graduation really helps you a lot. It is not a requirement that you need to be a hospitality graduate, but if you are one, it builds your career faster when you're working on cruise ships, right? Require a minimum of 2 years experience on land. Okay. Now I know a lot of you will be very upset when you hear that, and it's a genuine reason. But then let me explain to you why this is important. The reason why they say a minimum 2 year experience is that when you work on a ship, there is only a certain amount of space available, right? Okay. So there's only a certain amount of people that we can keep on a ship for both safety and work related requirements. So when we have only 200 people, for example, there are 1,000 people who can work on a ship. Every single job is a specialized position, right? So whoever is performing a job there at that role right now is going on vacation, and I'm getting somebody in place of that person. So when I get somebody who is absolutely fresh or who's not got an experience of doing the job that they are supposed to do, then we have to train that person in that job, which unfortunately on ships, we do not have the time. The moment you walk to a ship tomorrow, you're getting hired and you come into the job, you are at work from day one. There is no training period where we train you about the job. No, there's no time for that because you need to get into the job and start performing the job. So if you don't have experience doing, for example, I'm hiring a pastry chef, and if you are a pastry chef and you come into the business without knowing how to run a pastry by yourself, and don't have the experience and the integrity about the things, it becomes very difficult for you to adjust with life on the ship. One, because the training that we do give you is about safety and how to live on the ship. There will be training about maritime law. There will be understanding how and where do you ensure that you get your life going on a ship. So while you're adapting to your ship life, we cannot be training you about your job. So that's the basic requirement that we expect everybody to come in with, is that you should have known the A to Z of your specialization. Okay, so every single role uh, is critical for you to apply for that position. Okay, so this is where experience is needed. So when you are applying for jobs, they make a lot of difference for you when you have uh, an experience before of 2 years. Okay, and I'm putting 2 years as a guideline. There might be people who apply for ships after 1 year, even immediately. I'm not stopping you from applying from ships right now. You can do that if you finished your college and or you already completed your 3 year degree. You're most welcome to apply. But the chances are very minimal that you would get a reply from anyone asking with a job offer. Okay, so the experience is not a deterrent. It will always help you, because if not, I personally have had situations where I had to terminate and, in the end of the day, send them home with the work pressure that they have at the workplace. Because, like I said, there's no industrial training there, so a lot of opportunities are lost there as such, that people don't cope up with understanding the job and adapting with civil life as well. The last point that I talk about generally also is good communication skills. And English is key. It really helps you stand apart in your. Let me just add a few last people who've come in. It really helps you stand apart. Is communication skills, right? So what I would really highlight is that it would be great if you can learn a foreign language. Now, anybody who is guest facing, okay, it would be amazing for you if you have very good English skills. Plus, you can learn a foreign language. Ideally speaking, European or Spanish, German, Italian, French. All these languages are great. If not, even Japanese and Mandarin is a great opportunity to learn a language. Why this is important is that your guests are not guests, because once you come to Europe, they speak only their language, like Germans and Spanish or Italians. They speak their language. Now, what happens is, if you only know English, they wouldn't be able to give you opportunities in ships which are going to Europe, because you do not know their language. So this is very important that if you have, now when you have this criteria of 2 years experience, I would really recommend if you can download an app and learn a new language about Spanish. I learned Spanish. So similarly, I would really like you guys to try and learn an extra language, and that helps you a lot, because that immediately puts your resume on top. People getting opportunities to come into as what we call guest services generally have a problem getting promoted, because of the fact that they do not have a foreign language knowledge, because your guest services skills will only be helpful if you have an extra additional language as such. So uh, this is one thing I recommend for anybody, definitely, who are trying to get into guest services. You need to ensure that you put your effort into learning a new language. It's going to go a long way for you. Careful about scammers. There are a lot of scammers there in the industry as such, which you need to be really careful about. They would try and give you opportunities, telling you, okay, pay me some money for an admission process. This is the amount of money you need to pay $200, and then you get your invitation, job letter, everything. Please be super careful about what kind of offers you accept. Okay, and I'll be more than happy if you guys have my email address. Please go ahead and send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to reply to you and confirm to you if these websites are really true or not. And this is where I would really like you guys to be careful about it, because these scammers, they first of all, companies don't charge you for applying for jobs. Okay, they don't charge you any surcharges. No local hiring agent is supposed to charge the crew member or anybody who applies any charges for taking in your application. So if you see that, that itself should be a scam there. Okay. And then the other one is when they give you a job offer without an interview also. Be careful about that. That doesn't happen. We do not give job offers without interviews. Even if you are the best general manager, we will do an interview before we hire you. So if somebody comes and gives you an offer letter via email, that's a scammer for sure. Okay, so please be careful about that. So one of the most generally asked questions to me is also about the paperwork. Okay, so when you talk about being in India, if you have to go on ships, there are some paperwork requirements that you need to do. So let me give you a brief about those topics as such. Okay, the first one that I have in that is how do you plan your career with ships? It needs a little bit of planning. So let's talk about it. The first thing I did tell you is that 2 years experience. So that within that 2 years experience, there are a lot of things that you can accomplish, which you don't have to do in the last minute once you get a job offer, right? So the first thing you do is definitely apply for a passport. Get a 10-year passport. It gives you the opportunity to build your passport with your first level of paperwork there. The second one that we have is your STCW courses. Now, as per the DG of shipping, that's called Director General of Shipping, India, anybody who needs to go at sea and work as a seafarer, male or female, doesn't matter, needs to pass an STCW course. What is STCW? It's a standard of training and certificate of watchkeeping course. It's a 14-day course generally, full day course. So you need to go there every single day and do your course there. And then you need to get those certificates. So once you've got those certificates, that will help you apply for your CDC, which is a seaman's book. It's just like a passport, but it's a small little book called a seaman's book, which generally records all your contracts on ships. So that's what a seaman's book does. All right. So these two things are important for you. So one is to complete the STCW course. You get an indoors number, a seafarer number, and then with that you apply for your CDC. So that's how the entire process works. So it's very important that you do this before you apply for a job at sea, because when they see your resume and it already has this updated there, that gives you again one extra hand into the application process. It says, okay, this much is cleared by this person, so let's consider this person first. Okay, so that is also going to give you a little bit of an extra hand by completing this STCW course and CDC application. Now, these STCW courses generally stay for 5 years. So, if you do one now, it covers you to 5 years. So not a problem. So look out for the opportunity for you if you're able to do it. It's good. The earlier you do it, it's the better for you when you apply for jobs at sea. Yeah. So another very important condition is the fact that good medical conditions, right? The ship, like I said, once it sails out of port, then we are on our own. We do have a medical clinic on board. The doctor is there, but then it's a clinic. It's not a full-fledged hospital. So one of the most important requirements for working on ships is your medical condition. So if you are having certain medical conditions, unfortunately, ship career cannot be for you. But if you're in good medical health, this is one of the good careers to try for. Okay. Okay, another very important point is visa and flight tickets to be done by a recruiting company. 90% of the jobs when they offer you on ships are through company paid visa and airline tickets. 10% of the jobs sometimes can be wherein you pay the flight ticket to join the ship. Those are tip-based positions. If you are a position which is tip-based, then you need to pay your first flight ticket to join the ship. And then when you return, the company will pay you your ticket. But the joining ticket is to be paid by you. Let me tell you, if you're joining a ship in US, it might cost you around $1,000, $1,200 to fly down there. And you can make that in the first month for sure. Okay, you make that money back comfortably within the first month that you apply for the job and you get into. So it's not a big question. But generally, every position which they hire you, they will always pay you for the visa. reimbursed by the company because that is a requirement as per maritime law. But you need to pay for the visa, but then you get reimbursed once you come back on the ship. But then the flight tickets, like I said, 90% of the jobs or positions get their flight tickets. But if you're a tipping based position, your flight tickets are more are to be paid by you one way for sure. And there are some of them who do not. But what happens is the companies which do not charge you for the flight tickets, the tipping percentage reduces as such. So I generally people love to get the tips more than their airline tickets. So just FYI, that is another opportunity as well for earning extra money there. Okay, so that's more or less what I have in my presentation. I hope you guys will be able to get some idea about cruise lines. What I would like to do right now is definitely look at the questions which have been put across for me here. And again, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in right now. I'm going to be highlighting those questions here so that if you guys need to, I can reply to those questions now. So crew is paid on contract basis or work hour basis. Okay, now it is not on an hourly basis. It is definitely on a monthly basis. As a matter of fact, in the US, they pay you every 2 weeks. Okay, that's how the industry works. So what are the required the pay? Like I told you, if it's a tipping position, the position which you need to get your you get tips. Those positions are paid on a 2-week basis, on a cruise basis. But when it comes to positions which are a fixed salary, just like me, for example, that is on a 2-week basis. It is not on a contractual basis. Yes, the contract tells you what is the amount that you will be paid in every month, but you are basically paid bi-weekly. Okay. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so is it important to have experience in hotel only? Okay, now what happens is it depends on the position that you're applying for. Okay, if there is somebody who has experience in sales, for example, there are opportunities on ships which you can apply directly into retail or even in the future cruise sales. There are sales jobs which are there, but there needs to be some link between your current position and the position which is otherwise. Okay, so for example, you apply for a position of a assistant waiter or your assistant or a deck supervisor or a maitre d', but you've not worked in a restaurant. That doesn't connect. But yes, if there are job opportunities, for example, if you worked in IT, okay, you are an IT professional and you're working on land or on a IT company, then you can definitely apply for IT positions here. I have seen people who've got IT background applying for a waiter or a cook, and then they come in and then they get promoted back to IT. That happens too. Okay, so it doesn't have to be that you get into a position and you're stuck in that position for life. No, that doesn't happen. People use whatever experience they have to get into the ship, and then once they are on the ship, I personally run the career progress program. So what happens is you do the interviews and we look at your career experience, and then we give you an opportunity to train and then get promoted in the department if you've worked before there. So there is an opportunity there as well, as such. So I hope that answers your question. If someone is on a managerial position on land and applies for a cruise, will that person join from entry level or manager? Okay, now see the difference between land and ship when it comes to operations is completely different. It's not like how you run an operation here on land that you run an operation on a ship, because of the fact that the volume of people who come into your restaurant or to your bar or to your operational areas is completely different from what is on a land-based operation. So what happens is when people are managers of a bar on land and then they come on a ship, it's completely different when it comes to running a bar as a manager there. So generally, as a thumb of rule, I have rarely seen people getting directly hired as managers ships on previous in their career. Okay, so very short, very rarely few people get directly hired as managers. Probably yes, supervisors. I have seen people who get hired who were restaurant managers on land, and then they get hired as head waiters or supervisors, restaurant supervisors, and then they get promoted. And that's the best part about people from hospitality industry is that they get easily promoted and grow very well in the industry. Okay, because they have the background, plus they have the experience, and so they get promoted easily. So to answer the question, uh, uh, will the experience on land be considered at ships? Unfortunately, generally you have to get in at least one step below from whatever position that you are doing currently, if not an entry level position. What you need to understand is, you, for example, you come in as a deck supervisor in or a floor supervisor in housekeeping. The people who work for you are being in the industry for a while. Stateroom attendants, as such, the attendants of who clean rooms, generally earn twice than the salary of a deck supervisor or floor supervisor. Okay, because they are tipping based positions. So they do not want to become managers or supervisors. So they've been there in the position for a while. So if you have not experienced what it takes to run operations on ships, and then you go and become their manager, sometimes it doesn't work very well. There's a lot of pushback which happens, and which I have seen may or may not work well for you as such. Okay, so that's where my answers for managerial roles are. Simple if I say not all the time. Okay, very rarely that people are directly hired as managers. Career opportunities for front office. Okay, now front office again, like I told you, is not has got a couple of criteria. One is the fact that you need to know a foreign language. If you have a foreign language knowledge, you are able to speak and comprehend a foreign language, that gives you an upper hand. Plus experience in front office before. Okay, so this is something very important. Now, to be hired directly into guest services, the chances are very minimal. Okay, because of the fact that you need to, if you're standing at the desk of a ship as a front desk associate, day one. Okay, and like I told you, there is no training in house in that. They bring you there. The software training is different. They will teach you the software. That's not that we expect you to learn fast. It's a quick learning process. But it's the hardware about knowing what it takes to be on a ship. So a guest comes and asks you 10 questions. Where is the what we call, why am I charged the gratuity when I'm not paying for it, etc. And if you don't know about it, you don't understand what it takes to be on a ship, they might say, okay, there is a sound in my room, all that happening. It becomes a little challenging when it comes to people hired directly into front office. All right. So if you're looking at front office, I would say not much opportunities come in directly in front office, but think about a couple of points which I would like you to take away. Is one is getting a foreign language to get your chances higher when you apply for front office position. Again, apply for 90%. I would say 98% of the people who work in front office right now on a ship have joined the ship as a waiter or joined the ship as a bar or in housekeeping, and they get promoted into this role. And that happens within the first contract itself. They come into the position and then they show their experience, they do the interview, and then they do cross department transfers and they get into that position. So you can look at both the opportunities there. So don't hesitate. If you are able to get through an interview and make it through a different position, it's okay. Once you get on a ship, then it becomes easy for you to get transferred to a different role. Okay. Um, Describe the salary structure. Okay, salary structure is a little different. There are two types of salaries. One is commission based or gratuity and tips based, and the other is fixed salary. So the fixed salary, you have a contract, you sign for your contract, this is your salary, and that's it. The other one is commission based or tip based or gratuity based. There is a percentage of gratuity which every single employee who's performing a job for the guest in a guest facing environment is paid separately. Uh, for a starting position in the restaurant, uh, I would say you earn around $800 to $900 to start with. That is your basic salary. That is a minimum guaranteed salary. Uh, but then once you become an assistant waiter or a waiter, uh, you easily take home $400 to $500 every week. So that's more than $2,000, $2,500 every month comfortably you take home. Okay, so that depends on the amount of people that you serve, the service ratings that you get. The guest should, if you do poor service and the guest does not put you good rating, unfortunately you might not get a good tip. So the gratuity percentage reduces with your performance level as well. Okay, so that's how it works for the commission based. Again, if you are into retail, you are into spa or any other departments which are commission based, it purely depends on sales positions. Then it depends on how many you are able to sell and what are the products you're able to sell. They do a calculation and then they pay you every week about how much sales you're able to make. Will my experience in cruise be considered online? Yeah, absolutely it is. It purely depends on how you sell yourself when you apply. Because when I first quit cruise lines, I was a bartender and I quit, and then I came online and I started applying for jobs here, and I got hired directly as a restaurant manager, or what we call as a beverage manager running a bar. But then at the end of the day, it depended on how I put myself across, and also to the fact that you have to get a big pay cut. You're earning in dollars. You come on land, uh, your salary gets a big cut down. So if you're ready for that, your experience on land is always on ship is always considered really very well, because you're able to give them that exposure that you have had already, right? So that should be a good opportunity as well. So we're coming back on land, there's so many employees who come back. A lot of them I know become uh, what we call uh, entrepreneurs, because they make enough money and they come and start their own business when they come back on land, because this is what they do. They come on ships for a couple of years or 5 years, something like that, earn a good amount of money and go back and start their own business. So I've seen that the most common trend for people who quit ships and then come back on land, because that works better for them at the end of the day. All right. So yeah. Um, is it important to join hotels for experience, or a retail industry is also considered? Yes, absolutely. Retail industry as well. Like I told you, it really helps you when it comes to uh, what we call sales opportunities. Retail industry can definitely help you get into cruise lines. As a matter of fact, we have retail brands on ships which are the best brands, from Louis Vuitton to Coach to any brand that you name. There are those running retail stores on board. So you don't have to be coming into hotel operations. You can go directly into retail operations on ships. Again, if you go into my website, to my YouTube, I'm able to highlight those specific hiring partners who help you directly apply for retail jobs. Okay, so for example, one of them is Starboard. They hire people directly as retail associates, so you don't have to come into ships as what we call uh, a waiter or a bartender or something like that. You can come into directly into retail as such as well. Okay, so retail industry. But if you want to come into hotel operation, see, the only difference there is in retail is that you are restricted only within that career. Uh, Getting promoted and moving into hotel operations, wherein you can become a general manager tomorrow, is very limited. You are retail oriented only. So that's the only difference which happens. Okay, I have another last. What are the jobs where we get tips? Okay, so any guest facing jobs are where you earn tips. Okay, so the first one would be definitely a waiter, an assistant waiter, a bartender, a bar server, a stateroom attendant, or a suite attendant, a butler. These are the positions generally which come under the tip based position. Okay, and these are the roles which are the most highest demand roles on ships, because like I told you, the takeaway salary is very high there. Okay, and it depends also on where the ship is sailing and the kind of people that you serve. But in the end of the day, the fixed gratuity always earns you a lot of money. Okay, so I would say it is a good opportunity for you to try and uh, look at tipping positions. My recommendation before I close this this webinar for each one of you is looking at tipping positions or not, if you're looking at management level or not. Uh, this moment that you are, it is very important for you to build your specialization. Okay, what really makes me proud as an Indian, and when I sit down and do interviews with people who want to build their career on ships, is that I've seen people come and sit down for interviews who really know the subject that they're talking about in an interview when they want to get into the next level, right? Because of one, especially from India, people are applying who are hospitality background, so they are really strong at what they're talking about. So right now, if I have one recommendation for you guys who are passing out from college right now, is to ensure that your focus is always on building something on your specialization. Okay, if you specializing, for example, you're from the kitchen and you want to specialize into the pastry or the butchery or the pantry or anywhere, okay, make sure that you learn A to Z about that role, okay, that position as such. Okay, if you're from housekeeping and you love working in the housekeeping department, then learn about the tables, learn about what it takes to build a room, and how much time does it take to clean up a particular section, or what are the different kinds of chemicals that are used. Learn about everything that you can, because that will make you stand apart when you start applying and getting promoted to different roles that is there. And even today, even though I'm in HR, okay, I learned back in 98, 99 when I was doing my hotel management. I learned at that point of time. And today, when I sit for interviews, and I know when people are giving me the answers, if they are true or not, because I've learned it at some point of time. So it makes a lot of difference. It really surprises me that I still remember those things. And this is critical for you. So please ensure that you build that specialization in yourself right now. Okay. Because once you get to work, the pressure of the job, you rarely get time to literally learn something which is knowledge based. Okay. It's experience based, yes, but knowledge based, that's something you build right now. So please ensure that you do that. You focus on your specialization, take up a job which gives you that specialization. It doesn't matter if you start your career as a waiter. For me personally, I don't, I started my career as a bartender. So for me, growing through my career, I started everything from the scratch. So it made a lot of difference for me. So it doesn't matter that. What matters is whether you know what you're talking about when you sit for an interview. So when you sit for a cruise interview, if you apply for a position, you're supposed to know everything about that specialization. So please ensure that you spend your time and effort right now building on that specialization to apply for it. Um, oh, great! Thank you so much. Thank you very much for your uh, feedback. And like I said, everybody, this is my way of ensuring that I spread the awareness about this life at sea, and encourage people to come and join the culture of being at sea if you enjoy it. So this is something I would like to put it across there. Uh, if you have any questions, like I said, you're most welcome to send me an email. If not, my YouTube channel is always available for you to watch and put your comments there about what you think you want to know more about. And then I would definitely build some very good questions for some videos for you, and help you guys build a career at sea if possible. Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you guys for your kind words as well. Thank you, Manish, Janvi, and Mr. Ghai, everybody. Thank you so much for your reply. And as usual, um, okay, I didn't say that. Okay, two things. One is my YouTube channel. That is The Sea is Calling You. That's the name of my YouTube channel. My email address is ajit.matthew@icloud.com. All right. So it's ajit.mathew@icloud.com. And my YouTube channel is the Sea is Calling You. I currently I'm making a video every week and very specifically detailing things that help you build a career at sea. Okay, so that will help you as well. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Like I said, I asked for 1 hour of your time, and so this is my opportunity of saying thank you, and I'm wishing you all the best for a career in the hospitality industry. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm seeing all these messages. It's very kind of you to say that. Thank you.